let us continue with the Inside Current Affairs for Prelims Insta 30. We completed till this Paryushan festival. Now let's begin this personalities in news. Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray. He is called as PC Ray. What is the context? Recently, Ministry of Culture along with the Department of Chemistry from the University of Delhi and Vignana Bharati, it's shortly called VIBA, organized a curtain riser for 2 days. International conference on the contribution of Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray as a chemist and a freedom fighter. So this was a particular conference in which they spoke about the prominent efforts of PC Ray as a chemist and also as a freedom fighter. Now let's look about PC Ray. PC Ray's contribution to the field of science was a step toward nation building. He was also a scholar who championed educational reforms, promoted employment through industry, and rallied for political advancement. So this is about PC Ray. So PC Ray's contribution to the field of science was a step towards nation building. So he, as a chemist, he contributed in science field also, and he championed educational reform, employment in industry, and he also participated in political advancement. What are his contributions? Discovered several groundbreaking chemical compounds like mercurous nitrate. Published more than 150 research papers in famous science journal. Example, Journal of Chemical Society of London. Chemical Society of London. Authored many books on chemical science. Example, Life and Experience of a Bengali Chemist. So mostly his contribution was on chemistry. That's why he's called a chemist, right? He wrote somewhere around 150 research papers also. And he discovered this mercurous nitrate and also contributed to the journal Chemical Society of London, and then he authored many books like Life and Experience of Bengal Chemist. Founder of Bengal Chemical and Pharmaceutical Work. So this is PC Ray, this particular person. Now, for tribal revolt, President Murmu invoked in her inaugural speech. So we all know that, right? Our president is Murmu. So she first tribal women president of India. So she spoke about 4 tribal revolt during her inaugural speech. Let us look at them. First one is Santal Revolution. These are the 2 leaders, Sidhu and Kanhu. The Santal Rebellion, it happened in 1855 to 56. We have to remember such years because they may ask some chronological sequence. 1855, it's just before the revolt, Great Revolt. We can easily remember. Was a revolt by Santal in the present day Jharkhand against the British East India Company and the Zamindari system. The 4 Murmu brothers, they are called as Murmu brothers, like Sidhu, Kanhu, Chand and Bhairav, spearheaded the revolt. These were the main people in that particular revolt. And then Paikal Rebellion. Paikal Rebellion, it happened earlier, like in 1817 itself it happened. A class of military retainers traditionally recruited by the kings of Odisha revolted against the British colonial rulers, mainly over for being dispossessed of their land holdings. So Paikal Revolt, it happened in 1870. A class of military retainers traditionally recruited by the kings of Odisha. So Odisha king, he recruited them for fighting against British, because these people were asked to move away from their land holding. Here Bakshi, Jagabandhu, Vidayadar, Mahapatra, Barmarbor Rai. This is that particular person. He is like head of that particular revolt, Paika. The highest ranking military general of the banished Kurda king led an army of Paikas to join the uprising of Khans. So this is Paika rebellion. Happened in Odisha in 1817. This is the name of that particular prominent person. Bakshi Jagabandhu Vidade. We can remember this thing alone. Then Kol revolt. The Kols, tribal people from Chota Nagpur area. So they may even ask match it. Which tribe belongs to which state, or it happened in which year, anything like that. So Kols, they are from Chota Nagpur area, rose in revolt against the British in 1831. So it happened after Paika but before Santal rebellion. In 1831 it happened. The trigger here was the gradual takeover of tribal land and property of non-tribal settlers who were aided by the new land laws. So even here the tribal land and properties were taken over. It was led to an uprising led by Buddhu Bhagat, Jiva Bhagat and Madara Mahato among others. These were the prominent leaders. For Kol rebellion, Buddhu Bhagat, Jiva Bhagat and Madara Mahota. Bhagat and Madara Mahota. Then the next uprising is Bill uprising. It happened in 1818. So 1818 is basically after this Paika rebellion, next year. Bill uprising 1818. After the British intruded into the Bill territory in Maharashtra's Kandesh region, the tribals pushed back, fearing exploitation under the new regime in 1880. The revolt was led by their leader Sevaram and was brutally crushed using the British military might. So this is Bill uprising 1880. Here it happened in Maharashtra's Kandesh region. The tribals fought because of the fear of exploitation. Here the leader is Sevaram. So these were the four major revolts mentioned by President Murmu during her inaugural speech: Santal, Paika, Kol and Bill. Now history, current affairs are over. Now let's start geography. First news, derecho. What is this term? It is a widespread, long-lived, straight line windstorm. So this, they have given the diagram here, this particular one. Widespread and it's long-lived also, straight line windstorm that is associated with a band of rapidly moving showers or thunderstorm. So this is a windstorm. We can relate it with the thunderstorm. Straight line storms are those in which thunderstorm wind have no rotation. So they have no rotation, unlike a tornado. These storms travel hundreds of miles and cover a vast area. So they do not rotate, they travel for a long mile. So they travel long miles and covers vast area. This is derecho, this particular diagram. Here cloud base is there. From here storm is developing, virga or rain. Dry layer below, moist layer. So we have dry layer at the bottom, moist layer at the top. It's called downdraft, then outflow front. This is how we have it, a straight, widespread and long-lived storm. It is strong. Okay, next news, heat index. Recently, the temperature of Delhi felt like 52 degrees Celsius on heat index, even though the actual temperature was 39 degrees Celsius, mainly because of high humidity and lack of rain. So, in Delhi we faced recently high temperature, like it reached 52 degrees Celsius. The actual temperature was 39 degrees Celsius. It should be. Because of high humidity and the lack of rain, it increases so much. So the 39 degree Celsius heat, it felt like 52 degree. Heat index. The heat index, also known as apparent index, is what temperature feels like to the human body when relative humidity is combined with air temperature. This has important consideration for the human body's comfort. Heat index. Its other name, apparent index. Our bodies like to stay near 98.6 degree. So this is our basic normal human temperature. Next news, Azores high. What is the context? An extremely large Azores high, a subtropical weather phenomenon. This is a weather phenomenon, just like El Nino. This is also a type of weather phenomenon. Azores high has resulted in abnormally dry condition across western Mediterranean. We have witnessed a dry condition because of this Azores. Azores high is a subtropical high pressure system that extends over the eastern subtropical North Atlantic and Western Europe during winter. It is associated with anticyclonic winds in the subtropical North Atlantic. It is formed by dry air aloft, descending the subtropic, and coincides with the downward branch of Hadley circulation. So this is Azores high, subtropical high pressure system. It extends over the eastern subtropical North Atlantic and Western Europe during winter. And it's associated with the anticyclonic winds. It's formed due to dry aloft air descending from subtropics, and it coincides with the Hadley circulation. So this is called Azores high. They have given some picture. We can find it in the North Atlantic and Western Europe side. Then the next news is about tobacco. Context. Andhra Pradesh government exported tobacco to the USA for the first time in the country. So we exported tobacco to USA. Status. India is the second largest producer, first is being China. China is the first largest producer of tobacco and India second largest. And second largest export. Whereas in case of export, we are the second. First one is Brazil. In production first is China. In export first is Brazil. We are second in both production and export. Climate. Semi-tropical crop. It's a semi-tropical crop, needs 100 to 120 days of frost-free climate. Medium rainfall, loamy soil with high potash and iron content. It cannot tolerate high-speed wind and storm. Nodal agency, Tobacco Board. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So it's under the Commerce Ministry. There is a separate board for it also. So this is a diagrammatic representation of various cash crops in India, like they have given sugarcane, cotton, coffee, tea and tobacco. Gujarat is the largest producer of tobacco in India. It's an important pre-fact. Next news, Karakoram anomaly. It is phenomenon of the recent resurgence of western disturbance, because of which an exception of the Himalayas resisting glacial melt as a result of climate change has been observed. So we have seen resurgence of western disturbance. Western disturbance have occurred. Why? Because Himalayas resisting glacial melt. Himalayas not allowing the glacial melt due to some climate change. So we have observed this new phenomenon, Karakoram anomaly. In a paper published in the American Meteorological Society Journal of Climate, His group claimed that the recent revival of Western disturbance has been instrumental in triggering and sustaining the Karakoram anomaly since the advent of 21st century. So a research paper has also mentioned this particular thing about the revival of Western disturbance and how it impacted the this Karakoram anomaly. Karakoram, it is a mountain range. We can see here Karakoram. It is above the Indus River. Then we have Great Himalayan Range here, and Bakra Dam, Ganges, then Brahmaputra, all these things. Then the next news: EU's palm oil row with Malaysia and Indonesia. What is the clash between European Union and Malaysia and Indonesia? The context is EU previously decided to phase out the import of unsustainable palm oil by 2030. Indonesia and Malaysia say the EU's palm oil restriction are unfair, discriminatory and crop appetite and challenging the EU in the WTO. So recently EU decided to phase out the unsustainable palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia, and these both two countries are saying it is unfair and they are complaining it in WTO platform. Indonesia and Malaysia are the world's two largest palm oil producers, account for 90% of global production. However, most of it is produced on the plantation by clearing rainforest. So they are the largest producer, Indonesia, Malaysia, 90% of global production, and they are produced on as plantation crop like in hill station by clearing rainforest. Refuel EU initiative. EU lawmakers adopted draft rules for the Refuel EU initiative, which would mean 85% of all the used aviation fuel would have to be sustainable by 2050. So under this Refuel EU initiative, what EU decided is that 85% of aviation fuel, the fuel we use for all the aeroplanes and flights, it has to be made sustainable by 2050. So because of this, they are restricting, phasing out the palm oil import. About palm oil, it is an edible vegetable oil derived from miso crop, reddish pulp of the fruit of the oil palms uses. So it's kind of vegetable oil from the reddish pulp. How it is used? It's used as a cooking oil in cosmetics, processed food, cake, chocolate, soap, spread, shampoo, and biofuel. The use of crude palm oil in the making biodiesel is branded as green diesel. So this is also called as green diesel. Usage of palm oil in biofuel is called green diesel. Then next significance, it is inexpensive. So it's cheap and produces more oil per hectare as compared to other alternatives such as soya bean. India is the biggest importer of palm oil. So we are the biggest importer. Almost 40% of its need we are importing only. Government initiative. National emission on edible oil palm, to boost India's domestic palm oil production by 3 times till 2025 to 26. To increase our domestic production, since we are importing mostly like 40%. So government introduced this particular mission, national mission on edible oil. Then Car Strategy 2021 for oil seeds, yellow revolution, all these things are for oil, basically oil revolution. This is the palm oil story. So they gave from a tropical, it needs tropical climate, 40 kg of oil is produced by palm oil tree every year, harvested every 10 days, used in food dating back to 10,000 years. Each fruit contains 30 to 35% of oil. A tree can be productive for 25 years. And these are the land use efficiency. Land use efficiency is also highest in palm oil comparing to other oils, and its economic contribution is also high. It create job for one worker per 8 hectare, and it grows well in equator region. So yeah, let's finish for today. That's all, guys.